Hello there once again, and welcome to our misery as we talk through Star Trek Discovery Lower, or whatever the hell it's called anymore, Dex Part 4, the Sickening.
Star Trek Lower Standards.
The Sickening. With us is the voice you hear, even though it's a bit muffled because he's on vacation, but he still took the time, folks, to put himself through the suffering and watch Lower Decks. Rob, how you doing, Rob?
Oh, fantastic. I'm getting better all the time.
And of course, last but definitely not least, our main man, the boss man himself, Andre. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Looking forward to yet another episode of Lower Decks.
You'd be the only one.
Yeah. Can you hear the sarcasm in my voice?
Say
dripping with.
Can I be honest with you? If I didn't love you, dude, I would totally think about fucking suing you for like damages. At this point, this show is like emotionally and physically stressful, and
you should
causing me
that thought, and instead we should do a libel lawsuit against CBS for putting people through this.
a big class actions.
I think we have grounds for cruel and unusual punishment. I mean,
definitely. Well, the only thing we have nothing to stand on because it's not like they're forcing us to watch it. They don't even put it free on TV. You have to pay for it. So you're basically being paid to be, be tortured. So, I don't. Well, some people do pay for that kind of a thing. I guess Rob would know that. You must be on a little delay there.
Yeah, you usually used to find ads in Craigslist. Usually find those ads in Craigslist. Yeah.
I honestly think I would prefer that.
So mental note: Andre wants to go to the Spunkin House next.
Oh, that just sounds wrong.
No, it's not that I want it, but if I have the option between that and Lower Decks, I seriously have to think twice about it. So.
Oh my God! I don't
want to picture Andre head to toe in leather either.
Okay. Let me just say, this wasn't terrible. I'll get that out of the way right now. But that doesn't mean it was good by any measure.
I had a hard time paying attention to it. I'll be 100% honest with you.
Everybody just talks over each other, and it's just like it becomes an incoherent mess.
So kind of like Mead.
Yes, exactly. Mike McMahon, are you out there listening to us?
Well, here's the thing. And I'm glad Captain Robert April's in the chat because I want to say this much. Look, I know there's a group of people out there who do enjoy the show, and Captain Robert April's one of them. And I don't take anything away from them for doing that. And they stand strongly on this stance that Kurtzman has nothing to do with it. I would love to believe you, but I have a feeling that if that was the case, then the show would be more Trek-like. I feel like every time these guys try to do something Trek, Kurtzman steps in and says, no, it's got to be more like Mad Magazine. Like, that's what it feels like to me. Like, I don't know.
Well, Kurtzman may not have had a direct hand into it, but still has to go through him, doesn't it?
That's what I'm saying. Is he still, like, if there was any kind of, like, what do you mean by, I've always paid for it. Like, we've never illegally downloaded the show or anything like that. Why would we? Anyway, Mr. Wolverine sends in $5, says, I'm Mr. Wolverine 07, and I also hate Lower Decks. I'm glad to have Star Trek Recovery to attend to. Yeah, I mean, this really has become Star Trek Recovery in a lot of ways. But no, I'm with you, Rob. This episode probably wasn't as egregious as the last few, but it also was nothing special. And there was some bits and parts of it that are just like, yeah, sure. With the whole mom and daughter thing, like, you know.
But they still had to make sure to emphasize that she was right that in the end.
Yeah, it was still pretty dumb on that part. Like, I don't get her character. I don't understand it. I mean, I do get it. Okay, I should rephrase that. I understand what they're trying to accomplish with her, but I don't understand why they think that's going to work. Is that a better way? Does that make more sense?
Yeah, that's probably accurate.
Maybe we should begin by giving a brief recap of the episodes.
Absolutely, because I'm all over the
those
place.
That are, yeah. But basically, that's what this thing is doing. So, to anyone that has not seen it, that's just seeing, basically just wants to enjoy us being tortured, watching this utter drivel to get the summaries and stuff. Basically, what happens in this episode, like the core story, what it's about. It's something, it's at the core, it's some drivel about expectations and being all you can be, and someone having faith in you and your own needs, or some bullshit like that. That's that's the message of the story. And the screen story is basically because the backdrop is that they found this old relic thing, and then there's two ships, one of them which is the Doritos or Soritos or whatever the hell it's called, that and another Federation ship are like exploring this thing. And then that's like one of the subplots. You have like this jealousy thing going on between the captain of the Soritos and the captain of the other ship, who is jealous of the captain of the Soritos because the other captain, a male, he's the one who's supposed to be in charge, but he's not really, because everyone respects the captain of the Soritos more. So that's like one subplot. And at the same time, you have like this one pink hair, yellow, purple hair wannabe that is trying to do everything that he can to rise in the ranks. And then you have like, what is that you call her, Moki Spock or something like that?
Oh, Doomcock
Maki.
dubbed her Maki Spock.
Fine, Moki Spock. Anyway, Moki Spock. Then she's basically just slacking, and her mother, who's the captain, wants to get her off the ship. So they try to give her the worst assignments, but that doesn't work. So then they end up promoting her so that she will really suffer by being an officer again. And then you have like this green chick that is trying to befriend a guy because he doesn't like her. So the theme basically here is something to do with like acceptance from others. And
did we jump over the part, or did we not get to the part yet though, where the number one's like, well, maybe you should give her all the shit jobs?
And I said that. First they tried to give her all the shit jobs to make her quit.
Okay, I missed that. My bad.
And that's when they promoted her. And then, of course, this gives purple head guy almost a fit, and then the other captain, he gets jealous and he tries to assert his authority, and he threatens both ships, and some crap happens at the end. It's bullshit.
I mean, I gotta give like the whole like the ships being taken over by the what the hell was it? They went into some, what was it, not a nebulous or whatever? What was it? Help me out here, Rob.
It was yeah, it was it was some kind of like terraforming sludge or whatever.
Yeah, like that kind of that was one of the only aspects that really felt Trek like that was something I could see happening in an episode.
Yeah,
but it was still kind of, I don't know.
The concept was fundamentally could have been Star Trek. It was the execution, as usual, which prevented it from being. Because that's like the shame here, that with Lower Decks, in concept, there's loads you could have done. The execution is what holds it back.
No, Andre called it the USS Doritos. Now I just want Doritos. I mean, that's the only thing it different. Within the first 5 minutes, where she was yawning in the conference room, handing out the dossiers or whatever, I'm like, I just kept saying to myself, how was this person still in Starfleet? I mean, even if, okay, I always say I'm a big advocate of suspending disbelief, but there just comes a time where you're like, no, it doesn't work. You can't suspend disbelief. I mean, there's no way this person should be serving on a Federation starship. And that's the biggest problem. You cannot buy, as Robert Meyer Burnett would say, the verisimilitude is broken.
Yeah, pretty much. I was like thinking this too, like, okay, why are you in Starfleet? You clearly don't want to be there. So why are you there? If you're just gonna like subvert authority and all those things all the time, then just go on a cargo ship. It's a big enough galaxy. Go on a cargo ship. Go on like a commercial airline or something, anything. Get out to Starship or Starfleet. Who the hell makes her be there? She doesn't want to be there then. Just do something else. I mean, she's so amazing that yeah, exactly. But like she's so amazing that surely she can get anything she wants.
Yeah, I mean, there's freighters. I mean, she could probably start her own charter company or something. You know, she thinks she's so amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm pretty sure even in the 24th century, passengers need to be ferried back and forth places.
Exactly. So like, why just not do that? And it's like it's too many asks. I know that it's animation. I know it's supposedly for teens and all of those things, but it's just too many asks. It's like they do one ask after the other, and there are many things that I can forgive within the realm of animation, but it's just too much, and it's so unbelievably bad. And I hate the characters. I hate the characters. Electrified and intense, and they're going to be like this the whole time. This is how they're conceived for animation.
And I hate saying this so far. The only two characters I like are the ones that people are going to say, "Oh, you only like them because they're white males." But no, it's only because they haven't had that much to do and they haven't really screwed anything up in the show or been that bad. And that's number one guy, because he's kind of funny in a few bits, and that bit with him fighting the monster in with taking his shirt, that whole thing was kind of funny because that's like totally something Kirk would do.
Yeah.
And then the thing, like, he's had like the little bits here and there, like in this episode and a few other episodes. So otherwise he hasn't really done anything. And then you have the head of security, that guy, the guy with the earrings and the butch haircut and all that shit.
The Bajoran guy. Yeah.
He's the only one who kind of fits in this. Like, his humor is where the show should be. Just slightly exaggerated, but still Star Trek. They're taking it to Mad Magazine / Naked Gun type territories. I don't want to say Airplane because then I'll get fucking bitched at again.
It's not even Naked Gun territory. Everything is just.
I wouldn't even say Mad Magazine. It's more like Cracked. Cheap Mad Magazine.
I mean, everything is just so, and the only word I can use to describe it is manic. It is so manic that after a while it just grates on you, and you're just like, shut up.
There's very few people. Yeah, sorry.
No, it was just like, give me a second here to digest what's going on.
There's very few people could do the manic humor and actually make it to where you can understand it. And that's like the only two people I can think of were Robin Williams and Jim Carrey.
Mm-hmm.
Are the only two people I can think of who can handle that manic mile-a-minute humor and still manage to make it coherent, funny, and not just people talking over each other or just nonsensical bullshit. And there was even times where Robin Williams, when he was on the coke, where he would even go off the rails. So, I mean, it's a fine line. I mean, you can't just do, especially when you get multiple characters. You can only have like one character who acts like that, even in a cartoon. I think that's the fundamental problem. I get it. This is a cartoon, but you can't have all those kind of personalities like that clashing on a cartoon constantly, or you're just going to get nothing but noise. I don't know what you think, Andre, but
I agree. This is just noise. It's just annoying noise, and that's all there is. It's, oh God, I hate this.
It's that style, that manic style, is actually permeating through all animation now. We see it in the new Looney Tunes. I mean, and aren't they supposed to bring back Animaniacs? I mean, I think that's
the only hope for that is it has a lot of the same people behind it.
Yeah,
like all the same voices. I think Spielberg and all them are producing, and it's still like all the same.
But even Robin Williams at his worst, even though, I mean, it's like, and he'd go off on like and do a voice, but even he would reel it back for a second.
Yeah, but like I said, there's few times you could argue. I mean, I just left it out there because I know there's a few times you could argue with Robin where, when he was so far off on the coke, he didn't even know where he was going with some of his shit. But I mean, in the same way though, he's still like, that was my point though, is there is that fine line, and pun intended, I guess. Line of coke. Anyway, no, that where you can go overboard, and that's all this show is overboard. Jaeger Bomb sends in $5, says it's a shame Lower Decks might have had a chance if there wasn't the taint of Alex Kuxman secret hideout. Is there any hope of change coming? Well, we have been reporting on Emma Watts coming in and trying to clean house. The thing that we think is the big issue, and I'm sure Andre can expand or whatever on this, is that ironclad fucking contract he's probably got that Lord knows what Moonves put in there. Like, that's the thing, is I have a feeling, and I think we all can agree on, that at this point, the way things are, there's no denying how bad they are. If there was a way these guys could get out of this contract without it costing them a bunch of money or something, they would have by now.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And I got to bring up one other point. there was a recent interview with him, and they were bringing up all his upcoming projects. One project was very absent from those, wasn't it, Andre? Or did you not see this interview?
I haven't seen it yet, so do
his little
mention it.
pet baby project wasn't brought up.
What, Clarice?
one?
Clarice.
Oh yeah.
So I was thinking on this the last few days, and again, this is pure speculation, and then you can pick up and expand or whatever from here, Andre. I'm wondering if, since they have this contract with Trek, there's not much they can do to him on that end. But what they can do, just like this episode, is make the rest of his life a living hell at CBS. So just maybe he'll quit. So what happens? That Clarice show you wanted to do so bad? Damn, it'd be a shame if something happened to it, ain't it?
Hey, nice little series here about Clarice. It'd be real shame something happened to it. Know what I mean?
Get what I'm getting at? Now, again, pure speculation, but Andre, if you want to pick up from there.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know yet. I don't know. I haven't had time to research it, but it's very funny that he didn't mention it, and it's been awfully quiet about it. It really has. Like, they did cast a lead, but we haven't heard anything more about it since. And this is what he's been working on since he got booted from showrunner of Picard. And we've read the script, we've reviewed the script. It was no good. So, that's real interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. You notice Alex Kurtzman, he never creates anything on his own. It's always something else. It's always Clarice, Spider-Man, Star Trek, or whatever.
Not only that, look at the fall season coming up here. They're literally bringing shows from CBS All Access onto the main network because they have nothing. Now, Clarice is a show that you could probably get away with filming in a way that you could get around the pandemic. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a show where I think that they're going to have to worry too much. Like, you're not going to have a lot of sex scenes. You're not going to have too many fight scenes or anything like that to worry about. Like, this could be a show they could probably get around. And if the show was good and they had promise, they would jump on it. You know, because like I brought up to people forget that, you know, the whole Star Trek thing, it was more like Kurtzman doing them a favor at the time, because everybody forgets that Kurtzman was part of like Hawaii Five-0 and all these other shows on CBS that were basically hits for them. But again, it goes back to what you're just saying, Rob. Hawaii Five-0, he can't create anything on his own. It was already a show. So, but again, like, I have a feeling like this is just weird. If he's not talking about it, we haven't heard shit about it outside of, like Andre just said, and they were supposed to start shooting not last month, but the month before. But obviously, we know why that didn't happen. But we're hearing some rumors about movement and shifting in sets I'm not going to get into right now. So it's just kind of interesting that there's absolutely no talk about Clarice. And this is not the hardest show to get off the ground, if you ask me. It's an easy fucking cop drama.
It's all practical sets. It's all investigative, and it's investigative procedural action. You know, it could literally be the character Clarice just like in a field looking at stuff. You know, and they set up a remote camera. Yeah,
it should be very, very simple to do if indeed they do it.
Lost Jedi sends in $5, a good buddy of ours. Remember when McMahon said at Comic-Con that the show wasn't going to punch down at Trek or make fun of tropes? I don't know. I don't remember listening to the Comic-Con thing. We were at the TrekCon thing, and I don't remember him saying that. But if he did say that, that's very interesting, because that is not what this show is. It is definitely punching down on Trek.
I saw the whole thing, and I've forgotten it already. It was horrible.
Yeah, or is this the most recent one?
Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah, I only watched part of that too. It was so bad.
Well, the big issue here is that this could be decent, at least, and it's not. It's just It's not terrible. It's not great. But it's not even decent. It doesn't give you any real reason to like it, and it's just so spastic and so manic that it after a while it's just like driving a nail into your skull.
I guess it was at the 2019 panel, but all right. Yeah, I don't think I watched that one either. If I did, I forgot it. And yes, did someone say Coke? I did.
Have a Coke.
I did say Rails too. I missed Rails. Good catch there, Raquel. Archer does it better, says Fezman, and I'm sure you'll agree with that, Rob.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Archer definitely. I mean, Andre, are you familiar with Archer at all?
I I know you, so I'm obviously familiar with its existence,
Okay.
but I've never.
Okay. Archer it makes fun of a lot of the spy movie tropes of the 60s and 70s, but it does it in a way where it's not mocking them. It's poking a
Not
lot.
like Austin Powers.
No, not like Austin Powers. I mean, they're kind of cut from the same cloth, but at the same time, they're doing it in a way where it's paying a loving tribute to them. They have such respect for the spy genre, like Our Man Flint and that kind of stuff, that you're like, and you laugh right along with it. And then they go into things like the 7th season Archer PI. They make fun of the 70s cop shows, private investigator shows. Then they do Archer Dreamland, Pulp Action, the noir. And then they do Danger Island, and they do Archer 1999, which is a science fiction show. I mean, so they do. Yeah, Man Squatch says it's the same cloth. I think Archer's cut from a slightly darker cloth. Yeah, there's a lot of black humor, but the idea is they don't punch down. They don't make fun of you. They don't belittle the viewer for liking this. And that's part of it. It's almost like belittling Star Trek fans for liking Star Trek. Yeah, you like Star Trek? Wait till you see what we do to it. And I don't think they realize they're doing it.
Maybe, I don't know. I just know it's suffering to watch. And if all animation is like this today, of course, that only goes to show I don't watch animation and I haven't missed anything. Evidently,
No.
Because this is all horrible, if you ask me.
Yeah. There's one joke in Archer, he has what he calls the tactile neck, the black turtleneck that all spies wear. And he pays like somebody brought up in the chat. He goes, "Why did you buy 5 black ones?" Well, each one's a slightly darker shade of black. I'm like, okay, there's such a thing. I'm like, yeah, but that's sort of poking fun at the whole spy thing with the black turtleneck. Like they just trample on every Star Trek ism, if that's a word, in existence.
Yeah, and I think that they do it. I think that they do it out of an earnest love for Star Trek, because I think that the only one that cares for Star Trek in the slightest are probably the ones doing this series right here, Lower Decks. I think the people doing that, they are the ones that know Star Trek the most and care about Star Trek the most. Unfortunately, they are still working under the direction of Alex Kurtzman and Secret Hideout, and they are bringing their modern sensibilities, which I'm sure there's some people out there that must like, but that I personally can't stand, which makes it a chore to watch for me, at least.
That's Steven Seagal. How you doing? He said, "Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rob."
Now, remember what Robert Mark Burnett always says: the last thing you'd say to them if you want a job on Star Trek is that you're a fan of Star Trek.
Yeah, that totally shows right here.
Well, it wasn't just him. I actually heard that from a lot of people, to be clear. Fat Steven Seagal beat up Alex Kurtzman now. Alex Kurtzman should stick to directing mimes.
Oh boy, it's just like this is, like I said, I can't believe this exists. I really can't believe that somebody thought that this was a good idea. That's the thing. People think that this is actually they had to pitch this in a meeting and somebody said, "Great, go with it." Obviously, that must have been one hell of a pitch.
Well, to people that don't like Star Trek, it probably was. To them, it probably sounded perfect. Evidently, it's the best guess I can make, but clearly it wasn't to anyone that actually cares. Well, of course, sir, I don't mean to come off wrong. If you do like this, then absolutely, by all means, good for you. I'm glad you find enjoyment in it, but it's just, for me, this is just, I'm starting to get to the point where this is worse suffering to watch than Discovery.
Well, Andre, I have a solution for you. What you want to do is you want to keep a hammer beside your beside the whatever medium you watch it on. Okay, beside your
Yeah, I
laptop,
think I
beside the
see
computer.
where this is going.
And when you watch this, you have to bang your head with the hammer as hard as you can, and that will make you forget the pain of watching Lower Decks, because you'll have a concussion so bad you'll say, you know what, this is preferable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
But this
Guys,
is
what
indicative.
did you?
We lost Tom. We lost Tom
Okay.
temporarily, though. So.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that Tom will be back again, evidently. Tim Tringle Jr. just sent us a super chat, $4.99, talking about Kurtzman. Trek always ends up like being at a wake. Yeah, this is actually true. This is it's so horrible that whenever we talk about Star Trek, we actually wish it was dead. But that's where we are.
We did a video, actually. I put together a video on After Dark, which a lot of people seem to like. But one of the comments we got was that if we don't support this, then we won't get any new Star Trek.
And what do I always say to that, Rob?
Said,
oh, man, I remember McDonald's, too, but they had to close it down after the McLean failed.
Exactly. Exactly.
Star Trek's not going anywhere.
No. What do I always say, Tom? The only thing supporting this, make sure we will what?
Not get anything new. Yeah, exactly.
Get more bad Star Trek.
And before I dipped out of there, because my fucking internet, for some reason, likes to be shit at this time of day. Fucking, like I was pointing out, like, it doesn't even really matter, though, about this whole Emma Watts thing. Like Mills was pointing out, like, these are the episodes that Amazon and Netflix probably saw, because these are the ones that were done. We got to remember, this shit was started and put in motion 2 years ago. So well before Emma Watts was even brought on board. So again, I just feel like the only reason this isn't any worse than it is probably just because Kurtzman is busy doing other things. That part's maybe true, but it still doesn't make it a great Star Trek show, and people aren't interested in it anymore. I mean, the ratings are dipping off. I can't wait till we see the next ratings. So I'm sure they're even worse. Storm King sends in $4.99. Rob, did you want to read that one?
How long before Q shows up and snaps us away from STD forward? Be well, everyone, and stay safe. They even reference Q on this episode.
How many times have you brought that up, though, Rob? Like, that's the perfect way out of all this shit. Just have Q show up.
You see, Jean-Luc, the future can be even more terrifying than you could possibly imagine. Yeah.
All right, I think we're caught up on the super chats now, are we not?
Let's see. I can have a quick check.
You got the Tim Tingle one when I was away, right? Or did you miss it?
Matt G just sent in a $5 super chat.
Okay, but did we get the Tim Tingle one?
Yeah,
while
we
I was
did.
gone?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Yeah. All right, we got Popcast in here. I bet that's Gary. Hey, how you doing? Matt G sends $5. Says, if you're a Disney fan, will Kurtzman hire you? They do cross honor wokeness if you like non-Star Trek garbage. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a lot over there like it is over at CBS, because like Rob was saying, we've heard from Robert Meyer Burnett, and I heard from numbers of people over the past couple of years that if you want to work at any of these places, don't tell them you're a fan. I can imagine Star Wars is probably the same, because they don't want to deal with the baggage that comes with a fan.
Well, it was. That is changing now for Star Wars specifically, but for Star Trek, I don't know.
But I always say that that's antithetical to everything, because if you get a job as a reporter, as a sports reporter, and your beat is hockey, and they say to you, "Hey, if I'm the editor, if I'm J. Jonah Jameson, kid, do you like hockey? What do you say?" Oh yeah, love it. Yeah, Eddie Shore, whatever. I mean, the last thing if you say to yourself, nah, I'm not that big a fan. All right, see you later. We'll call if something else comes up. I mean, I don't get, like I said, the whole baggage with the fans is, I just don't think they don't want anybody questioning what they're doing. They don't want, yeah.
Well, there's that part, but I also know part of it is, and I know this for a fact, and this is what I was told. It was flat out just because they don't want to deal with like people like us pointing out, well, that's wrong, and you can't do that because they already did this in this other episode, and this character would never do that. They don't want to deal with that. They don't want to hear that shit, because then that makes them have to think and work. They don't want somebody to come in there and tell them they can't do something. Just like that whole like fucking story group that was supposed to be there to make sure they don't tell stories and be there.
The canon experts.
The canon experts. How much did they really listen to them? Seriously.
They hung out.
Assuming they existed, which is a strong assumption, not very much, because they did plenty of things that they said that the story group was there to prevent.
Exactly my point. Like that's what they don't want to deal with. Mills sent in a super chat before. Was there? Go ahead and check, Andre, if you can, see if there were some super chats that we missed.
Yes, I think we missed a couple actually. Mills, to begin with that, he sent 14 South African rand. Thank you so much. What's your take on X-Files Lower Decks treatment?
Yeah, I heard that they're getting a cartoon. I don't know much about it, but who's behind it?
Yeah.
Personally, I was behind. I was over X-Files long before Mulder left. Like I was out of it, like in season 4 or something, and I never looked back since.
The one thing that would be probably beneficial to get this kind of treatment would be Men in Black. That's the one franchise that it might work. Now, I'm saying it's a pretty big might, though. There was already a Men in Black cartoon, so that would be kind of redundant, though.
Yeah, but you'd have to get, like, here's the thing with Men in Black. Men in Black is a lot like The Mask.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the comics and the movie are two different animals, and not, I mean, more so with The Mask, but like The Mask worked as it did because of Jim Carrey, and Men in Black worked because it did because of Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith and the director and so on. You know what I mean? Like, I think we've learned since then that the same is even the sequels didn't live up to the. I mean, come on, who here really likes Men in Black 2 and 3? let's be real. Men in Black 2 fucking sucks. And 3 is and Men in Black 3 is a bit of an improvement, but I ain't saying much over 2.
I remember when I was in Italy, I saw a huge billboard for Men in Black 3. I'm like, really? They're doing another one of those?
But yeah, I mean, if you got the same kind of well, that's the thing. Like, yeah, that kind of humor lends itself perfectly to this kind of a comedy, and that's where they're missing out on this. Is like we keep saying, and that's where things like Galaxy Quest and Orville get it right, where Lower Decks gets it wrong. It's sad that the actual branded Star Trek cartoon is a parody and not a satire. That's the problem.
Or just look at Red Dwarf and take that character interaction and put it into Star Trek. That would have worked. Again, there's nothing wrong with the concept. And someone else pointed this out in the super chats. I'm not entirely sure if I got it or not, so I'm going to take it one more time just to make sure we get it. A Jaeger Bump sent us $5 saying, "It's a shame. Lower Decks might have had a chance if there wasn't a taint of Alex Kuxman and Secret Hideout."
Yeah, because I remember making fun of the taint.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like the potential was there. They just couldn't do anything with it because evidently.
I mean, I'll give them a little bit of okay. You may have had a problem that you got beat to the punch with Orville. Okay, that's great because let's face it, on the surface they're the same concept. Orville is the ship that you call last because they're not the first, they're the hooligans in the galaxy. They're the last people you call. Lower Decks is kind of the same idea. So I get it. They're probably trying to do their best to avoid anything that is Orville-like, but they should have just embraced it. They should have just been like, you know what? It doesn't fucking matter because we are Star Trek. That's what I mean. It's just like, I don't know. It was kind of like the whole thing with like everybody trying to be the Beatles in the 60s. And then the Beatles just like, fuck you. We're just going to be the Beatles. And they just did it. They didn't care if everybody else was copying them. I don't know. That's maybe a bad example, but
what the Orville is, they said they make, remember that first episode, the pilot, when Ed gets called into Victor Garber's office? It's a mid-level exploratory cruiser.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they make no bones about it. This is not the ship that you call first. This is the ship that the Enterprise would have to bail out of a jam. But it's still, I mean, there's still plenty of plenty of stories out there for this kind of thing. I mean, I remember hearing about on Voyager the USS Carolina. I'm like, wait a minute, there's a ship I've never heard of. I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm bet you there's some good stories there. I'm like, but they're missing out. They're just because they're not the most important ship, just because they're not the flagship, doesn't mean they're a bunch of screw ups. That's the thing. These people would not be in Starfleet. And again, that's what, as R&B says, that's what breaks the verisimilitude. If you're going to be exploring space, you're not going to meet a bunch of idiots out there.
And I think you bring up another great point right there, Rob, like that they're fundamentally forgetting. Unlike Star Wars, that is so tied to the Skywalkers in a lot of ways that you have a hard time getting away from that, which, I mean, people want them to, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, but it's a little different with Star Trek. You just brought up the great point. There is how many other ships out there that have nothing to do with the Enterprise, that have nothing to do with, you know, any of the other ships that we've already seen, that you can go tell a story that has nothing to do with anybody. Oh, what about this and Picard and this and that? You know, we don't need all these member berries and fucking references. You can be clever with the references. We don't need the name dropping bullshit. That is so, I hate that. That is like my biggest pet peeve in the world.
Remember,
it's like in a biopic where they always say the person's first and last name. You remember Dewey Cox? They're making fun of that.
Oh yeah,
they keep calling the Beatles all by their first and last name through the whole. Like that's that whole point. Like they get it. It's so stupid. It's like we know they're supposed to be so and so. Quit saying it's John Lennon. Quit saying it's Paul McCartney. Yeah. We know this.
Hey, why are you saying Bob Dylan sounds like Dewey Cox sounds like Bob Dylan? Why aren't you saying Bob Dylan sounds like Dewey Cox? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, no, remember the scene, they're all together and it's like, so how are you doing, John Lennon? I'm doing very fine. Dewey Cox, how are you? I'm doing great. How about you, Paul McCartney? And they keep saying their full name. Like they do that. And that was that whole point of that scene, was making fun of biopics because they do that. Like they'll sit there and say, oh, you're Andy Warhol. I never thought I'd meet Andy Warhol. Hey, Andy Warhol, come here a minute. You know, instead of just talking to him like a normal person.
Andy Warhol, I want you to meet David Bowie, you know.
Yeah,
David Bowie, Andy Warhol.
Yeah. And they keep using their full name instead of just, you know, anyway. How do you say it? Mattery? Sorry about that. Mattery? Am I saying that right, Rob? What do you think?
I think that's close. Mattery.
Mattery. Okay. 700. I apologize for butchering your name. $10. Thank you so much. Me and my siblings grew up watching Star Wars and Star Trek. Was perplexed when my older sister said she liked The Last Jedi and Star Trek Into Darkness. Maybe this new writing appeals more to women.
I think it might appeal to a certain kind of women, but not to women in general. I absolutely do not think. But a certain kind of women, yeah, possibly. And I think it's pronounced something like Metairie or something like that. I'm not sure.
It's definitely
butchering it too. It looks like
I apologize. Yeah. And chime back in. I got a question for you. You don't have to send in another super chat. I'm curious if they were as big of fans though. Like if they were just kind of more casual and you were the bigger fan and like that's why you're perplexed, because I can see it from that angle. Like if they weren't really fans of the shit and they just didn't give a shit, to them just getting another one's just like, oh, it's just another burger. Who cares if it's Burger King or McDonald's? Yeah. To where if you're somebody like, no, there's a big difference between a Whopper and a Big Mac. Okay, you know, like, yeah.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't put it past CBS or Alex Kurtzman or anybody to say, oh, we need to appeal to more women. And this is how we do it, because I noticed okay, you know what? You're going to hate me. I used to watch The Big Bang Theory up through season 4.
Oh, yeah, I did for a while, too.
And after that, you know what?
I watched the whole thing. No hate from me.
I missed the last 2 years. That's it.
But you know what? Right from season 1 to 3, it was one type of show. But season 4 was the turning point, the very end of the turning point. Then it became Friends. And I don't have any solid evidence to back this up. I really think part of it was to appeal to women, to female viewers.
No, I don't think you're wrong, because I used to watch it, and at the time, my girlfriend, when it was like dead in the middle of it, when it did that switch, is when she got interested. Before that, she could give a fuck. Then all of a sudden, she's like, oh, this is kind of a cute show. This reminds me of Friends. And then it started to turn me off.
My mother's in her 80s, and she just started watching the Big Bang Theory, and she loves it. I'm like, oh my God, that Sheldon is so funny. And I'm like, I do think that there is this fundamental shift in a lot of programming, and I noticed it's not just that. It's so a lot of stuff. It was the Daily Show. It was a lot of Comedy Central programming. They wanted to appeal to more women, and I wouldn't doubt that Star Trek is the same. I mean, the first thing they did was I sound like Porky Pig now. When the first thing they did, the Daily Show, Jon Stewart left. They hired a male model to come in and host.
Well, I think.
I mean, I do think that there's this idea that we need to broaden its appeal. I'm like,
you're right. You're
100.
You're right, Rob. I think that's what's going on. And to speak to what Andre figured out with Rambo, I think it proves that they're wrong. And that it's like they love to just have a variety. Now, like he said, you could bring in a certain element, but if they were already fans before that and just casual fans, then they just probably enjoy. That's why I was asking. And let me see if she answered. Don't see any response yet. Oh, there it is. Yes, we watched TOS for years. I was the TNG fan, though. I don't think she. See, that's what I mean. Like, I'm curious if it was more so just because you're the bigger fan, and that's a totally different thing than just like this whole thing we're talking here. Because, oh yeah, there was definitely this shift in entertainment. Is how do we get women into this stuff too? And I think the proof that it's not really working that well is what Andre brought up with his Rambo research, and that was that more women went to see Rambo than went to see Charlie's Angels. So they're not doing what they're. I mean, you could expand on that, Andre. Sorry, it was your research. So
and then we have some other super chats that we missed.
Yeah, we got to get caught up here. Yeah,
so we'll do that. But basically, what I discovered, because the numbers came straight from Deadline Hollywood, so the numbers were legit, but they didn't do a proper analysis of them, because what the numbers actually revealed was more women in hard numbers went to see Rambo Last Blood in its opening weekend than went to see Charlie's Angels in its opening weekend, which I think is pretty stellar.
Can I say somebody said that for the Daily Show, Trevor was the 5th guy down the list. But do you know who the first one was? You know who they first talked to? Amy Schumer. They wanted to get the biggest female comedian out there. They talked to Amy Schumer first. She said no. And they talked to Chris Rock. He said, I'll do it for 1 year. They talked to a lot of people. Amy Schumer said no. Chris Rock said afterwards, Chris Rock, Louis C.K., and then they went down the line, and then they got the Trevor. But that was like, oh, let's get the biggest female voice out there. And they didn't get her. And so they figured, well, we got to do something. So anyway, Andre, go ahead. Go right ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Let's then move on with some. So that, by the way, was the moment that show was dead to me. Like I gave Trevor Noah, like when I saw it once. And never went back. I can't stand that guy.
I gave him a week. I gave him a week. I said, that's it. That's it. It's done. I can't. Yeah.
I just can't stand the fakeness of that dude. But
Trenchman. Oh, go ahead, Rob.
You'll be glad to know that they've lost about 3/4 of their audience.
Not surprising. Trenchman sends in $1.99. Star Trek is for dorks, but sadly, Star Trek is for dorks, but sadly now it's not. I don't know about dorks. I would say nerds, intellectuals. The difference between Star Trek and Star Wars has always been that the normies it's easier for normies to get into Star Wars because it's not as technical. And Star Trek is very technical and nuanced in its way, like with the way the world works. And that's the diligence that the fans are having a big problem with some of the new shows outside of just the whole that it's shit.
To illustrate the difference between Star Trek and Star Wars in that sense, I just have to bring like one anecdote, which I thought was fantastic, because when I lived in the UK in the school year 2005 and 2006, or the semester, I should say, because it was university, there was this reality show. It was the greatest reality show ever, where they basically took some random kids off from the street and promised them to be in a reality show that was called Space Cadets. And the thing was that they would then compete for a chance to be sent up into space, to orbit in space and conduct experiments. It was like going to be like the first thing of its kind. And obviously they weren't going to go. They were just sent into a simulator. But they had to find like the most gullible of people that wouldn't be able to detect that they weren't going into the space. So one of the questions were, do you like Star Wars or Star Trek? And anyone that clicked Star Trek were eliminated instantly because they were assumed that they would have sufficient knowledge that they would be able to call their bullshit at some point. Whereas Star Wars fans were fine. They could be deceived. So yeah, I thought it was funny. That's also a really cool show. It's on YouTube, Space Cadets.
That sounds actually interesting. I might want to check that out now. Shadow Man sends
it's hilarious. So yeah.
It sounds like it. It sounds a lot like the Joe Schmo show almost, but with like for like a nerd. Emma Watts has plans for Star Trek. Oh, sorry. Shadow Man sends him $5. Forgot that to finish that. My bad. Emma Watts has plans for Star Trek, and they do not include Alex Kurtzman or Secret Hider. Gears are turning. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is we brought that up early on. It's that fucking contract. I guarantee.
I know.
I think that's the big point of contention here.
There's got to be a couple poison pills in that. There really
gotta be. Like it's got because it's not that big of a contract. That's the thing. Like it's not like it's
normally they could buy him out, but like for instance, if that costs 20 million, do they have 20 million to do that right now?
Well, I'm thinking to buy him out, it's even worse, like or fire him or something like that.
Yeah. So, but and again, then it depends on the contract. We'll just have to wait and see. But the wheels are turning. And then it's just a matter of where do they end up. But speaking of Shadow Man, because that's where we're at in Super Chats, because he sent us $5 earlier, and then he said, the terraforming sludge was ripped off from the Genesis device. Who the hell is this show for? Teens will become delinquents if they watch this. I have one more for you. I will race you ripped off a Genesis device, and with the con people, what are they called again? Like the
augments.
Like the augments and the pods there as well. So yeah, I was thinking that too. So
yeah, I didn't even get to that part.
You know what I always say. Hold on, Lars Hansen with 100 Danish kroner. Oh,
nice,
thank you very much from your neck of the woods. A shame the rumor about Disney purged of wokeness was not true, but it also sounded too good to be true. But a good video from you folks. That turned out not to be true?
Well, you narrated the video, Rob. He does this all the fucking time. Andre.
I narrate so many things. Like it's all one big jumble.
I swear, it's like there's two different Robs. There's one that does the narrations, and then there's the one that fucking shows up late all the time.
But Rob, you know what? I understood because there was like a time when I had to when I had to read out for my wife on stuff, and then she would ask me later, okay, tell me what you just said, and I said I have no idea. I just read it out loud. It didn't pass by through my brain. It just went through my eyes, through my mouth, and I didn't bypass my brain to be absorbed. It's like the same things. So that's how you can have Rob ask, oh, was that not true? After basically you were the one that read it for Lars Hansen and thousands of others. No, that was not true.
Do you remember when Bill Cosby said one time about how he couldn't keep his son's name straight, his children's names? He said to his children, "Come here, Roy, Broford, Rutabaga. What is your name? What is your name, boy? And don't lie to me because you live here, and I'll find out."
Back when we could actually joke about.
But yeah, basically, because what happened there is that Doomcock did nothing wrong. That's something that we try to emphasize. He reported what was told to him, and what was told to him was partially accurate. But our sources, basically, they rung the alarm bell right away, saying that that's not true. Disney is still woke as fuck. Don't you worry about that. So they're not ending wokeness. They're just ending not realizing full earnings potential. And because of that, wokeness will be declined, but it will not be eliminated.
Yeah. Lost Jedi sends in another flat.
Oh, Tom, remember what I said? Oh, no, I'll read this now. Lost Jedi 22, $5. How did this captain pass the Kobayashi Maru? She and her crew turns easy missions into near no-win scenarios. Every catastrophe is self-inflicted. Yeah, that's why these people have no business being in Starfleet.
I don't think anybody passes the Kobayashi Maru, but Kirk. I think that's the whole point.
What happened with Kirk? He got a commendation for original thinking.
Yeah, but he cheated.
Yeah.
He even admitted he cheated. Super I love this name though. Super Blubberpuss.
Star.
It makes me. I can't even say it.
Super Blubberpuss. Dude,
I'm gonna steal
Star
that.
Wars is rock.
But
Star Trek is
we
rock.
still have some super chats
I would
to
say-
get through.
Did I miss a few more?
Yeah,
I
there's
would say-
3 more that I have to get.
I would say.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, well, let's do this one quick and we'll get back to those. Sorry about that. I thought we had wrapped up all the other ones because we hit the ones you had gotten to already. I thought.
I would say Star Wars is rock music, but Star Trek is more like Sergeant Pepper. It's very kind of sophisticated.
Yeah,
and it's elevated.
like I get the analogy, but yeah, I got to argue that more Star Wars is more like kind of. I hate saying this, but Star Wars is more like the Backstreet Boys, and Star Trek is more like the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
They're both basically the same thing, but they're worlds apart still at the same time.
But let me tell you though. Remember, Tom, what do I always say about Glee? About
sucks.
Yeah, apart from that, it sucks. It was never about the music. It was about the reference. So people could point and say, I know what that is. And that's what Lower Decks does. They throw out as many references as they can so people can point to, oh, I know that. I recognize that. It's the same exact principle. They're just throwing out references for people who might have watched 1 or 2 episodes of Star Trek, or they know Star Trek, but they don't really watch it, or they know so much, and so that they can say, "Oh, look, I know what that is. I recognize that. I feel smart because of it."
Well, and here's the thing. Like, I mean, I'm probably the most casual of the fans on the group, right? And if you're trying to get casual fans, you're not doing it because I'm not buying this shit. It sucks. And for the most part, outside of a few individuals, I have not yet found anybody who finds this shit entertaining. Like, and some people are just like, it's almost, and I get where some people come off like it's almost a worse insult than anything STD or Picard ever did because of just how below the belt it is for Star Trek. Like, I think you put it pretty bluntly, Rob, when you said they've turned Star Trek into poop and fart jokes.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Exactly.
All right, let's get to those other super chats that I missed because the thing rolls by so fast.
Yeah, exactly. We missed from Darklight Zero, who sent us 5 British pounds. Thank you so much, mate. Saying Lower Decks had the unique opportunity to draw humor from the stuff the crew would have to do in order to get the techno babble of the day to work. Yes. See, that's what I mean, or what we all mean. Basically, there was opportunity here, but in the execution, it's been lost. And Fat Steven Seagal beat up
Alex Kurtzman now, or is it?
I was about to say I can't see on my screen who's getting beaten up today, but he beats up someone who deserves it. I'm sure
it's Alex Kurtzman now.
Yeah, as I said, someone who deserves it. $2 Canadian. Currently stuck in the teacup ride. Send butter.
But you'll eat it before you get to use it, so that's not going to work. You're gonna have to think of something else, Steven Seagal. That's
he did. He did, because he sent us another $2 Canadian saying Alex Kurtzman should stick to directing mimes.
Well, yeah, that one we got, but I'm talking about the butter thing. He's going to tell us the next to send popcorn. Just watch.
And the Fessman 93 sent us 5 British pounds saying Archer does it better. Him and many others. And with that, I think we're mostly Polaris sucks sent us $2 Canadian saying without the 2 main characters it's okay. That's actually a good point, because those characters, they really suck and they bring the whole thing down. If you could remove them, that would actually help a great deal.
It might.
I was thinking that, okay, like the captain of this ship, if she were to basically send her daughter off to another ship, and this super overachiever who's not going to amount to anything, if he also could get a post at another ship, so we were left with everyone else, then we might have a show.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where I was saying, Cyborg Kid is the one, that whole bit with him in that one episode where he's trying the different stuff out. That's kind of what the show should be. And I mean, I kind of felt bad for the girl character at the end of that episode too. So I mean, they're managing to get certain things going, but they're missing the points. Like they're not even. I feel like they're even missing their own. I don't know how to put this.
It's kind of like when you play darts and you hit the
Or it's more like you're playing darts, but you don't know how to play darts.
Yeah, you're not hitting the target, but you're not missing the board completely. You're like on the edge of the board.
Well, no, I more so mean like, if you walk up and you try to play darts and you never played darts before, you think, oh, all I got to do is keep hitting the bullseye and I win, right? No, that's not the point. You want to knock out all the spots. See, that's where I feel like this is it. These guys are trying to hit the bullseye every time and they're not playing the game right.
That's right. Good. That's actually really good. That's actually a really good analogy.
Yeah. And with that, I believe we have caught up all super chats. If I missed some, then do scream in the comments, and we will amend that right away.
Yeah, please do. We'll wait about 2 more seconds here to make sure you guys we didn't miss any, and I apologize for any. We did skip over here and there. That was not my intentions at all. Definitely not.
But that's how we roll sometimes. So sorry about that.
If anything was organized, I think people would be worried.
Yeah, we like to.
Our videos are so organized, but our live shows, that's why we do them on Mead most of the time.
Yeah, basically we do it Red Dwarf style and not Star Trek style. So
that's that guy that said, "Don't get me into Star Trek crap. It's too early in the morning." That Red Dwarf guy.
Red Syrup says, write that one down. Oh, you mean the playing darts? Well, and I think the analogy works well because it's not like I don't think I don't think they have the wrong intentions at hand. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm not sitting here going like, even Kurtzman, I don't really even think he deliberately wants to go out of his way to piss us off.
No, there's no malicious
intent. Clueless.
Yeah, there's no malicious intent here. No.
Here's the thing: you should never attribute malice where stupidity is sufficient explanation, or something like that. I don't recall the exact quote. And this would be one such situation, because I will say this for Alex Kurtzman, that although he has gone about it all the wrong way, they have gone about it with the intention of trying to please as many audiences as possible, not from the goodness of their hearts, but for the sake of their wallets, because the more people actually enjoy and keep on watching, the more money and esteem and everything they get. Whereas as it is right now, he has Emma Watts breathing over his shoulder and fans hating him and everything. And he even said that in an interview. It was difficult to read what people were saying about him, and rightfully so. So, yeah.
And I don't want, and don't get me wrong, I don't want anybody to think we're trying to deter you from watching this show at all.
No,
that is your choice. In fact, like, that's the thing. Like, if you feel like, oh, well, they may be wrong.
If you like this, good for you. That's
exactly, yeah.
We all have our guilty pleasures. We all have something that we all like that someone else doesn't. And if you genuinely enjoy this or Discovery or even Picard, then good for you. But just know.
Well, I'm just saying it because we get accused of, like trying to tell people what to think or do. No, honestly, I encourage people to watch it, and if you agree or disagree, let us know, especially in the comments. And there's times where Andre, Rob, and I will jump in and have conversations with people.
Absolutely, and also we will never ever tell anyone what to think. Never let anyone tell you what to think. What we do here is we try to give you the best possible information so that you can think for yourself and make your own decision. Like whenever we do a breakdown of the behind the scenes drama and what happened here or there, it's not to tell you what to think, it's so that you know. Take this into account. That will explain this weird thing on screen, or this there was something really horribly shitty done here. And if you want to support that, that's up to you, but you should know what you're supporting. That kind of thing. That's what we do. We try to give you the broadest possible base of knowledge from which to make your decisions, but not to tell you what to think. We'd never do that. And if someone tries to do that, you should run the other way.
That's right.
That doesn't mean I won't debate you, though. Matt G sends in $2. Best parody film might be Kentucky Fried Movie. I don't know. Spaceballs is pretty goddamn good.
Airplane.
And Airplane, and yeah, I mean, as far as like specific parodies, because even Kentucky Fried Movie, I mean, I don't know, would you even call it necessarily a parody?
I have yet to see that movie, but I can.
It's kind of like the American version of a Monty Python movie. It's just a bunch of random skits, and but it's hilarious. John Landis directed it, didn't he?
I think so. That's Zucker Abrams Zucker's first film.
I think they wrote it and Landis directed it, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong.
It's a group of vignettes, as they call them, I guess. You know?
Yeah, like I said, like kind of like I think it came out before Saturday Night Live, didn't it?
That's a good question.
I was going to say, because I think it had more influence. I'm thinking it had more influence from Monty Python. That's why I brought it up. But anyway, no, yeah, it's a great movie though. It's definitely gonzo as fuck.
Yeah. I think we got one more super chat in there towards the end there. And I saw someone mention The Exorcist.
Oh God, please don't.
Have we got the video for you coming as soon as I was able to finish it?
Kentucky Fried Movie was 77.
Yeah,
okay,
no, but
so
yeah,
that
actually was the final super chat from Matt G. The Kentucky Fried Movie.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
But so anyway, about The Exorcist, and we'll wrap this up.
Yeah.
Since I know you want to plug that.
Yeah. So yeah, no, we have a very cool Exorcist video coming up, which doesn't pertain to the original Exorcist, but rather the drama behind Exorcist the beginning. And we have someone who was there who spills the beans. So yeah, that should be cool.
I think it's long enough the NDAs have dried up, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It's been damn near 20 some years, so like at least 15. So
15 years.
Are we talking about the original Exorcist movie? I mean,
no. Well, they're talking about
Exorcist the beginning, the prequel.
Oh, okay.
Because remember because with the prequel they made it twice, and they released the second version, and then they released the original version later on. So it was the Snyder cut of the early 2000s.
Yes.
The Snyder cut of The Exorcist.
Yep. Yeah, it's an interesting story indeed. We've referenced it quite a few times, but so hopefully you guys will get to hear more about that here soon. As soon as I can get that done, it's quite the video, though. I'll tell you that much. Yeah. So other than that, I don't think there was anything else we right offhand had to plug. Anything you can think of, Andre, other than that?
Yeah, no, all I can say is if you like what we do and you want to support us, the best thing you can do is help share the videos, because YouTube is doing no such thing. So we kind of rely on your help to like and comment and share and do the things that the algorithm likes to help makes us visible. So that's really...
all right. I'm getting yelled at. Okay, maybe not Spaceballs, but I'll trump you then. Blazing Saddles. Good night.
There you go.
I'll definitely watch Blazing Saddles any day of the week. So, all right, folks. Thanks again so much for the super chats. We appreciate them. They do help us keep the lights on here, and you have no idea how much, especially nowadays with YouTube, as Andre was just saying. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Let us know in the comments what you thought of the show. Oh, yes, and I rip Chadwick Boseman and
oh my God, that's horrible.
And not only Chadwick Boseman, but Linda Hamilton's sister as well.
Yeah, her as well.
Yeah.
Which was a few days earlier, and it gets much less attention in the press. But yeah, Linda Hamilton's sister too. So now let's wait and see who's the third one, because celebrities always die.
That's what I. Or
Cliff
who's
Robinson.
The false one? Cliff Robinson died earlier today too. Yeah, forgot about that. But he's a basketball. He might be the fault. Well, I don't want to say that. But no, Chadwick Boseman. That I think took everybody by surprise, and it was...
I mean, he had to have been sick when he was making Black Panther.
Yeah,
well, that's what Robert Meyer Burnett said. He made all these movies when he had stage 4 cancer.
He's
or
been
whatever.
sick. He's been sick since 2006. Well, probably he's been sick since 2000.
He's had it for 4 years at least. But
no,
yeah.
we've known he got diagnosed in 2016.
Oh, okay.
So that means that we've probably had it since like 2014 or something, since it had to be at stage 1 and stage 2 before getting diagnosed at stage 3. And that was in 2016.
Okay. Yeah. See. All right. That's what he meant then. But it's just, damn. I don't know. Well, just it's one of those things where you never know. Life is short. Enjoy it while you can.
I hate to say it now. What happens to Black Panther? I mean, do they?
Don't even. Right now, honestly, I think that's the last thing on everybody's mind.
I know,
yeah,
but it just is just a curious. And that's a question that's going to be asked.
Well, I think what if you really want to get into that subject, I'll say this much. I think that they were stupid not to get out ahead of this stuff a few months back when the rumors started to permeate that he wasn't going to be in Black Panther 2. Disney should have just flat out said there is no Black Panther 2, and they should not make a Black Panther 2.
No, I agree. They need to let it rest. They need to let it rest with him. You can't have another Black Panther.
It'll just sully it.
You need to let that particular franchise rest in peace with him, and then you can have him retire and be the king of Wakanda. Have like some references to how great they're doing under King T'Challa, and leave it with that.
That's my feeling. Yep, just leave it alone. Don't even try, because anything they do, whether it's recast him, bring up another character, play like he died off, nothing is going to work. Nothing is going to work, and it's going to turn out worse than The Crow if they keep trying to do it, because that's all you're going to get is they're going to end up casting somebody else or bringing in the sister, and it's just not going to work, and it's going to look like, I already said it. It's just going to sully the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to retire it. As simple as that. Yeah.
The character's off screen, living, ruling Wakanda.
Yeah, he's ruling Wakanda and lives happily ever after there, off screen.
Yeah, you just have to say whoever, they just say they decided to stay out of our politics.
Yeah.
After Civil War and all that shit and Infinity War and all that stuff, just they decided to stay out.
Yeah, but basically they tried to open their borders, decided that didn't work out for them, closed them again, built a wall, and happily ever after the end.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well,
yeah, it is very sad though, and of course our thoughts and prayers go out to his family and friends and loved ones. So he will be missed, and I agree. Just let it go. So
yeah, let it go.
All right. Well, I think we deserve a maximum effort puppy for going through this again, because I think this is the last episode of this shit for a while, ain't it?
Is it? God, I hope so.
I think there's a break in between. Because doesn't STD start like next week or the week after or some shit like that?
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. We get a bunch of STD, and then we get a bunch more of this shit, don't we?
It doesn't start until October 14th.
Oh, then there might be another episode of this too left then, unless they're...
STD is going to be rerun on the CBS network proper on Thursday.
Does that count as their 20 or... Does that count as their week?
Yeah, but that's great though. Then we get ratings, so that's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, good. I hope we get a break.
But
don't get me wrong, folks. I love hanging out with these guys, and I love talking to you. But I fucking hate.
We have so many better things to talk about.
23 weeks of Star Trek is more of a threat now than a promise.
Exactly.
It's like a sentence. We're marking off the days on a wall in the cell.
All right. Anyway, folks, thanks again for tuning in. We appreciate it, and we appreciate the time you spend with us. Have a good one, and we'll catch you on the flip side.